Assalamualaikum and good morning class. After the introduction on quantitative analysis, now we will go into the subtopics of the um, subject. So we have here now the decision theory. So of course, we make decisions all the time. In quantitative analysis, we apply scientific and mathematical models, no, in helping us decide which among the option is the best among the choices. So here, since we are talking about business, in decision theory, we either maximize profit or minimize cost. Okay, so decision theory comes with three environments. So we will discuss in this lecture the decision for each kind of environment. So we have three environments: the under certainty environment, risk environment, and uncertainty environment. So we have here the 6 steps of solving a problem. So as going back to the introduction on last meeting, first we define the problem. Second, we list the possible alternatives. Third, we identify the possible outcomes. Okay, so yung number 2 is actually ito yung mga input, right? Then we identify the possible outcome. Then we list the loss and profit of each, or we call the loss and profit actually the payoff, no? Payoff means the loss and profit of each combination of alternatives and outcomes, and apply appropriate mathematical decision theory model. Then last, we make the decision based on the figures that we get. So here we have the three environments. So when we say environment of certainty, certain tayo na mangyayari whether it is favorable or unfavorable. Pag environment of risk naman, there's a probability of this event occurring, and the remaining probability is that of the other event occurring. Okay? Environment of uncertainty, talagang unknown, no? Hindi mo alam yung probabilities. We need to make assumptions. So here, sa environment of certainty, simple lang. So we just need to decide on the if favorable yung mangyayari, which among the alternatives is the most that can give us the most benefit, yun yung igagawin natin. On second environment of risk, we have the EMV and the EOL. EMV stands for expected monetary value, and second, EOL stands for the expected opportunity loss. And we also have, under environment of uncertainty, the decision, the quantitative analysis models that we can use. We have here the Maximax, Maximin, criterion of realism, equally likely, and Minimax. We will discuss that later. So we have here a sample problem. So this problem is from the reference textbook, okay? So we have here Gabby Padilla, popular actor, wants to go into a movie-making business. He faces the problem whether to build a large studio which can accommodate more than one project, or a small studio which can accommodate only one movie at a time, or, of course, remain still as an actor. So Gabby determines only two possible outcomes, whether favorable or unfavorable market for filmmaking industry. So with a favorable market, a large studio will turn in a net profit of 100,000 pesos, while a small studio will give 60,000 pesos net profit. However, with an unfavorable market, he will incur a loss of 50,000 pesos for a large studio and 15,000 loss for small studio. If he remains an actor, he will neither gain nor lose under any outcome. So we go over the 6 steps. So first, we define the problem. Okay, so for Gabby to decide whether he will become a producer, if he will become a producer, what studio will he construct, large or small, or remain as an actor. possible alternatives: be a producer with a large studio, be a producer with a small studio, and stay as an actor. Identify possible outcomes. So possible outcomes were mentioned in the problem for favorable market and unfavorable market. Fourth, list the payoff for each combination of alternative and outcomes. So we just list down. So for a large studio, the net income is 100. So this is in thousand of pesos. Small studio 60, no studio 0. So unfavorable naman, net loss, that is depicted by a sign, negative 50. So this is again in 1,000 pesos. Okay. 5, apply the appropriate mathematical decision theory model. And lastly, and the most important one, make the decision. Okay, so with our problem, under environment of certainty, if Gabi really know for certain that the outcome, there will be a favorable market for filmmaking industry, of course, we will construct a large studio because that will give us the highest benefit of 100,000, right? Okay, but on the other hand, if Gabi really know for certain, for sure, 100% sure, that the outcome will be unfavorable market, okay, hihina yung filmmaking industry, of course, remain an actor because there's no risk at that. So, the decision will be to construct no studio and stay as an actor. So, however, it is not the case for the second environment, under the environment of risk. So, as I have discussed a while ago, environments under risk, there is probability occurrences of each of the possible alternatives occurring. So, for the outcome, favorable outcome, the assumption of the problem is if Gary believes that the probability of a favorable market to occur is 60%, so it means that the probability of an unfavorable market to occur is 40%. So that is now the risk. Okay, so in risk, there's probabilities. Okay, so we have to make a decision table that will reflect these probabilities, and we get the expected monetary value. Okay, so again, I repeat, under the environment of risk, whether you are using the expected monetary value on a very optimistic note, or you use the expected opportunity loss, the EOL, on a very risk-averse note, you will get the same decision. Okay, so here we will use first the expected monetary value. So as this is just easy, so you just multiply the outcome and the probability of it occurring. So example, so let's compute first the expected monetary value for a large studio. So 100,000 pesos, 100 million here, 100 million, and we have multiply by 60% plus what if the other outcome will happen, so that's 40% of 50 million loss. So you have expected monetary value of still 40 million. So again, pardon me on this note, this is in millions. So a while ago, I have mentioned, I think, 1,000. Okay. So, but anyway, whichever the case, 1,000 or millions, it's still the same. So, medyo realistic lang kung million because we are creating a studio. Okay. So, yan. For a large studio, we will have an expected monetary value of 40 million. So, for small studio, the same procedure, 60 million times 60%, plus mo lang yung 40% probability occurring, 40% times 15 million. So, you will get 30 million. So, pag walang studio, of course, walang 0 for unfavorable, 0 for favorable. So, our expected monetary value is 0. So, as you can see, using the expected monetary value, our decision rule is to always choose the alternative with the highest expected monetary value. So, ito yung ini-expect mo na monetary value mo, whatever happens, no? So, but already taking into consideration the risks, no? So, kung large studio yung i-create natin, kung construct natin, we will have 40 million, so that will be our best decision. Okay, because it is the largest. Okay, so what if we will use the expected opportunity loss? So in expected opportunity loss, we will, the EMV value, okay, the EMV value, the decision table, we first convert it into a table of regret. Okay, so sa table of regret, it's basically simple. So, kukunin mo lang kung ano yung pinaka malaking value, okay, for each outcome. So, example, in favorable outcome, the highest, right, the highest net income that we can get is 100. Right? So, yan, take note mo lang yan. And then, for unfavorable outcome naman, the best or the highest outcome that we can get is 0. Of course, 0 is still better than negative or net loss. Okay? So, yun. So, yung mga best payoff in every outcome, yun yung gagamitin natin as a basis to compute our regret. Okay? Kasi, tinitingnan natin dito yung regret kung hindi mo siya ginawa. Okay? So, isusubtract mo lang yung mga payoff ng yung mga best payoff na nakuha natin for each outcome, favorable and unfavorable, to the given possible values, okay, for each alternative. Okay, so let's start with large studios. As you can see here, sa outcome on favorable table, 100 lahat yung basis natin because it is the best payoff. Kasi compute natin kung magkano yung regret natin. So, kung gagawa tayo ng large studio, 100 minus 100, of course, 0. 0 regrets tayo because we made the right choice. Tama? Okay. So, the same. Pag small studio naman, 100 yung basis natin, yung income lang for a small studio is 60, so we have 40. That is our regret. Okay? That is our regret. Kasi had we chosen the large studio, dapat 100 sana. But we constructed a small studio instead, so yung regret natin is 40. Okay? So, no studio, remain as an actor, 100 minus 0, 100 yung regret natin because we did not do something. Okay? So, 100 yung regret. Okay? So, let's go to the unfavorable table, column. So, yung best payoff natin sa unfavorable is 0. Bakit ngayon 0? Of course, a 0 is always better than a loss. Okay? So, always i-minus lang natin. So, minus. So, 0 minus negative 50, which is the loss. Okay? So, we will have 50 regret. Okay? So, ito talaga yung regret natin. 50. No? 0 minus negative 15, and net loss, we have 15. And we have a 0 again. So, here, always remember, no, that we are still in the environment of risk. So, we have the probability of occurrences of each happening 60% and 40%. Okay, so to get the expected opportunity loss, the EOL below, just simply multiply it like what we did in the EMV. So, always, again, take note, dito sa table of regret, it should be either 0 or positive lang, ha? The 0 or positive, take note of that. So, walang negative dito like yung sa EMV computation natin. Okay? So, here, we have for a large studio, our expected opportunity loss is 20. How did we get 20? So, that's paano yan siya natin kinuha? So, that's 60% probability of occurring. 0 times 0 regret. Okay? Plus mo lang yung value din. Payoff for unfavorable. So, that's 40% times 50. So, you will get 20. Okay? So, sa small studio naman, the same formula. We have, ma'am, bakit plus? Of course, ipa-plus mo kasi the probability of occurring in one day is 100. So, 60% na favorable, 40% na unfavorable. So, ipa-plus natin. So, always take note of that. Okay? So, plus yan palagi. Okay? So, to make it 100% for each alternative. So, for small studio, we have 60% times 40 na regret plus 40% 15 regret. We have 30 regret. For no studio, remain as an actor, 60% times 100 plus 40% times 0 is equal to 60. Okay, so we have 60. So again, unlike the expected monetary value, we will base our decision on the highest monetary value. For expected opportunity loss, we will choose, of course, the lowest loss. Okay? So, whichever, like what I said, kahit ano yung gagamitin mo, EOL or EMV, still the decision is the same. We build a large studio. Okay? So, that is the expected monetary value and the expected opportunity loss.